service business. I'll give you an example. Recently, I traveled to Thailand with my family, and we had gone to, this is not against any particular brand, but anyway, I'm just telling you. We went and my wife is a pure vegetarian, so we ordered she said, I want a veg burger, right? So the person there did not understand what a veg burger is. So he said, no meat, burger without meat. Oh, no problem. He took the burger out, threw the patty, and here it is. She said, no, that's not how I want it. Don't put it in the first place. It went into a big spin because there's a process and a process deviation has to be signed off by the boss. And then finally we said, while you assemble, don't put the meat and give it to me. And it took a 20-minute process. So that's the danger of having 100% standardization in the service business. The opposite end, if you do not have any standardization and everything is empowered, it becomes chaos because the organization does not know what it should budget for, right? Because anybody can decide any which way. You take the cafe business rather. Some people like their coffee strong, some people do like it light. So what is this definition of strong? So what is the extent to which somebody can make it strong? Can they give a double shot? If there's a double shot, there's a cost component attached to it. So people will not be able to find out a exact measure or a budgeting of what can be expected if it is 100% non-standardized. So it has to be somewhere in between. Yes, empowerment is necessary, but there are limits to this. What I would say empowerment most necessary is in this area of what we call as issue escalation. If there are issues, somebody escalates to somebody, right? Either on social media or a call center or any number. If those people are empowered to take decisions on a certain set of standard parameters, I think that takes care of most situations rather than blanket empowerment to all employees across all front-facing situations. That's my personal view on that.
Any other question? So I have a question, Ramki.
Yeah.
That so your talk one was really refreshing, more from the perspective that you were in the coffee business for some time.
Yeah.
But more than that, as an organization to say I'm willing to be a pushover.
Right.
Why do most organizations find it difficult to say I'm willing to be a pushover? What are the elements? Who are the people in the organization that stop you from wanting to be a pushover?
No, I think it's a very valid question. I mean, it's easier for a younger or undefined organization to be a pushover, right? So, whereas an organization with a history of 80 years or 90 years will find it extremely difficult to change what they've been, and so they have, in their own minds and DNA, it has been defined that this is what I am. Nobody else can tell me what I am. So that's one big situational issue. Cafe Coffee Day luckily is less than 20 years old, so therefore to that extent, and it kept changing by itself, by starting from being a cyber cafe to becoming coffee as a center of business to becoming conversation as a center of business. It's possible to be a pushover. But substantially many brands which have history will find it difficult to be a pushover because they think they know the consumer. And I think the issue comes from one level of assumed knowledge of consumer. So if that assumed knowledge of consumer is questioned, I think any brand can afford to be a pushover.
Right, and you would recommend that
Yeah.
in your note of optimism to most of the organizations.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ramki. We have a small little gift for you, and we really appreciate that you took the time off to come and be with us.
Thank you.
So please stay on till you can, and then if you have to leave, you have to leave. So next on our agenda is Mr. Venkata Girish, who will be giving us his perspective on the infrastructure sector. As any of you reading the budget would have seen, infrastructure coming up very often. That's where they got the most amount of budgetary investments. Also, infrastructure was one reason that everybody blamed for the economy not going at the pace it ought to. And when we read about banks NPA, again, the word that comes over there is infrastructure. So we are really fortunate to have Mr. Venkata Girish here, who works for GMR, to give us a perspective on this animal called infrastructure. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm privileged to speak on the new subject, OCA, and I will be giving more emphasis on the infrastructure because that's where I've been done some projects all over the world. This is very relevant in today's economy, and I'll be glad to take your questions and answers as much as what I know and what we have faced in this field. Yeah, here is one of the key thing. If you're not confused, that means that you're not paying attention. What does it mean? That if everything is going smooth, then there is some amount of problem. I will give an example. One of the time, I was speaking to, I come from Jet Airways, so I was speaking to one of the pilot. Pilot says that the most difficult, one of the key things which they ensure that they will open the wheels, because what happens is that one of the pilot has landed without taking out the wheels. So that means that everything was going in smooth direction and the attention was not given. Okay. Welcome to airport, T5 terminal in London. This is one of the most recently inaugurated airport by BA British Airways. And here one thing I wanted to point out is that the baggage handling system. Anybody knows the problem about baggage handling system at T5? In spite of the best engineers working on this project, the baggage handling, when they opened the T5, the baggage handling system went for a toss. It took more than 2 months to rectify the problem. And all the baggages, I mean, they shut down the baggage handling system, then it took more than 2 months to get it repaired. This is London Millennium Bridge. Here also same, I mean, sorry to take both the examples from London. I mean, nothing wrong against London. Millennium Bridge, when they opened in the year 2000, they started all the people who were using the bridge, they started, the bridge started wobbling. What exactly is the problem? The problem is when the designers of this project has not considered after this is a series of investigations, they found that the designers have not considered the wobbling effect of especially the ladies with the high heel shoes. So this is one of the most complicated thing which was done. So welcome to world of OCA. Okay, what exactly is the OCA, especially in terms of OCA, whether is it the new word which has been invented recently or which is there? If you ask me on a personal note, OCA is there everywhere, especially in the forest, especially in the animals. If you see any Tanzania or Kenya, any of the national park, any of the animals, if you see, all the animals in the natural habitat are experiencing OCA. It's the we humans, we are introducing this word over a period of time after. OCA basically is nothing but volatility, uncertainty, complexity in the general conditions we are talking. It's new to humans, but whereas it's there everywhere. It's the period of uncertainty, that's all, period. It's animals are experiencing OCA every day. When they get up in the morning, they experience OCA. Whereas humans, what has happened is that we have simplified various processes. As a result, OCA, when it has come in the new world, we are feeling that, oh, this is a new thing, we need to prepare for this. How do we handle this? Okay, this is the framework of OCA. I'm going to deal in detail about this. I'm going to skip this slide. So, how did OCA started? OCA started post, US military. This has been this word has been credited to US military post Cold War of the world. They said that a lot of complexity is emerging because of the complex world. So they said that OCA is the one going forward. They have to be prepared. Earlier, the only bipolar world was there, Russia and the Cold War between US and Russia. They were making all the strategies, all the plans to attack or counter-attack US or the Russia. Whereas going forward, the complexities changed and OCA began. So these are some of the slides which I'm going to skip. I mean, OCA is present currently in terms of Afghanistan or Syria or Somali. Okay. Here comes the first acronym of the OCA is the volatility. What is volatility? It's the nature of change. It's the dynamics of change. How does it change? We are going to talk about in detail. OCA, the first one is the volatility, where the relatively unstable change means the change is coming so fast that you can't expect. How does it happen? One of the examples I can think of OCA volatility is the commodity pricing, where or the jet fuel. I worked in Jet Airways, where the fuel pricing has to be hedged. If you don't hedge the fuel pricing, what happens is that there is a lot of flexibility in terms of the fuel prices going up and down. So what the companies are doing nowadays is that they hedge to the fuel prices. Here, this is one of the case studies I want to bring in, the Southwest Airlines. The Southwest Airlines is one of the low-cost carriers of US. Most of the airlines, what they do, they hedge only 20 to 30% of the fuels against, they hedge for fuel prices. Whereas these Southwest Airlines, what they did is that they hedged more than 70%. That's the reason for their success in terms of profitability. Okay. Another case study I want to bring in is the technology company. If a technology company, when they are manufacturing a chip, what is the volatility in terms of manufacturing of a chip? If there is a fire in the factory, in all the factories, so what happens? The chip production will get lost. So how the manager will react to this volatility in terms of, so what manager has to do? Manager has to think ahead in terms of planning, how he is going to tackle the price. So what he has to do? He has to be agile, and he should be enough